Electronisounds Audio, the YouTube channel for you.
Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dean from Electronisounds. Stick around. Today, we're going to be checking out a module inside of miRack that's awesome for adding some techno percussion to your sessions. I've also got a free patch download for you that's going to jumpstart today's tutorial. Let's get into this. Before we get started today, be sure and subscribe if you're into this kind of content. On this channel, I talk about everything from modular synthesis with iPads to making tracks with iPads. We talk about making live jams and sound design. We talk about new gear, old gear, all that good stuff. Be sure and subscribe. Go ahead and start today by downloading the free patch, so you can go ahead and load that inside of your miRack and get started. Underneath the video that you're watching now is going to be a link to this patch. I'm going to show you how to download that. This is my last video because I can't actually show you the link in this video because it hasn't been posted yet. But you'll be watching this video on YouTube, right? Hopefully on your iPad. And you're going to go ahead and click this button right over here so that you can get the video description up, right? And then right at the very beginning of that is going to be a link to this download. It's going to look something like this here. It'll say, click here to download the free patch. And you will need to have Dropbox installed inside of your iPad for this to work. So I want to let you know right off the jump, if you do not have Dropbox set up and installed, this isn't going to work. So you'll need to get that set up before you attempt to download and install this patch. We'll go ahead and click on this link now, and what we'll do is we're going to use Safari today because that's a default browser that everybody has installed inside of their iPad. And what we'll do is we're going to not worry about getting the app because I've already got the app. This is the Dropbox here. We're going to go ahead and continue to the website, and now we're going to open in the app. We're going to open in Dropbox. Cool. Fantastic. Now we've got the MRK patch actually open in Dropbox, and we're just going to want to click on these three dots here in the upper right hand side, and what we're going to do is we're going to click export, right? And now all we have to do is click open in, and it's going to give us the option now as to where to put this file. We're going to want to save this to our files, and we're going to want to navigate to our iCloud directory where miRack is storing its patches. So by default, this is going to open up to something that looks like this here, and we'll choose the iCloud drive, and you'll just select wherever your miRack folder is, right? And then you can open that up, and if you have other folders inside there, you might want to file it accordingly. I'm just going to put it in the main miRack session folder here, so we'll just click add, and now this is called Dean's Techno Tutorial or something to that effect, right? So now we'll just close all that out, and if we open up the miRack app, and if we scroll down and we look for Dean's Techno Percussion Tutorial, in fact, there it is right there, and it should be showing up inside of your miRack, just like this. The reason we're starting with a bonus patch today instead of from scratch is that this is, has the potential to be a pretty long video, and yesterday's video ended up being 40 minutes long, and I want to try to keep this one a little bit shorter so that you guys can really focus in on the information and not get super bored about how long these are taking. We're going to go ahead and open this up now, and I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what we've got going here. I hope that's not too loud for you guys at home. We're not worrying about direct sound at this time. time, I just want you to be able to hear my voice super clear so that I can explain to you what we've got set up here. We've got a clock module, and we're running this into a sequencer, which is running a super simple little bass pattern. I've got lots of modulations happening on this bass pattern using the cube module here, and I'll press play, and we'll see the cube module kind of randomly moving around. And as this is moving around gently and randomly, it's affecting all sorts of modulation happening on this oscillator. We've got this oscillator running through a filter. This is what's creating the bass line. We've got it running through a filter. We've got some LFOs in the mix. I've got a kick drum, 909 kick drum, and we've got some 808 hi-hats. Up here, we've got the plateau reverb module and the clockable delay module running as sins inside of our master mixer here. So just a really standard kind of a techno groove. This is the winds module that we went over in my last tutorial for how to make an ambient drone rather, excuse me. And we've got that inserted here today running through a filter. The filter is doing a little bit of modulation, so we have a little bit of a texture inside of the groove as well, and not just the drums and bass, but some sort of atmospherics happening. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert a new module today and start adding some techno percussion to this groove. Let's get into this. Let's grab this oscillator. We'll hit the plus button at the top of the screen, and we'll make sure that we're in the packs section. We're going to click on audible instruments and choose the modal synthesizer, modal. I'm probably butchering the way they want me to pronounce that, so sorry if that's the case. We're going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit on this guy here. You can see there's quite a lot of controls here, and we have controls for the bow and the blow and the strike, the flow, the mallet, and these timbre down here. That's quite a bit of different options in your average oscillator, and these are really, especially this strike feature here, or in the mallet per se, are going to come in really handy for creating some sort of techno-y type of sounds. What we'll do is we'll need some sort of a sequencer to be able to actually, sequence out some steps and trigger some notes for this. So we'll go ahead and open up the browser. We'll go to tags. We will scroll down to sequencer, and we're going to go ahead and what you choose is completely up to you, but I find that this Seek 3x16 is really handy for this type of thing because it allows us to, set our steps accordingly and get our triggers set up however we want them to be set up. First thing we'll need a way to be able to hear our module. So we're going to go ahead and route this into the mixer at this time. We're going to take a left output from our module. We'll put that into the first available input on the mixer, and we'll take a right output and put that into the next available input on the mixer. And we're going to just make sure that I've got the volumes up on those tracks just a tiny little bit. Maybe we'll do a little bit of panning here, pan those a little bit left and right to get a little bit of a wider stereo image. We'll need to go ahead and connect a clock to our sequencer, so I'll patch the clock from our sequencer module into the clock 3 of the clocked module. It's at a ×4 our clock tempo, and I think that'll provide 16th notes for our sequencer, which is what I'm after. So we'll just press play and take a peek here, and yes, in fact, we're scrolling along at 16th note division. That is absolutely perfect. We're going to make sure we patch the reset of our sequencer into the reset of our clocked module. And now, when I press play and I press reset on the clocked module, it'll reset all of the sequencers and all of the LFOs, and it'll keep everything in time so that, you know, our one is happening on the one. We're going to go ahead and take a trigger output from the sequencer. We're going to run that into the gate input on the I don't know if I'm saying this right, modal. I don't want to say this incorrectly. Sorry, guys. And then all we have to do is double click and randomize. And boom. It's just that simple. We've just created a random pattern, which is in time. We can double click on the modal synthesizer module. We can randomize this. You can do that again and again. And you can just keep exploring and getting new sounds. And you can double click over here and randomize. You can get another rhythm and double click over here and randomize. You see how we're getting some really cool sounds without actually doing any programming? Using the beauty of random here, guys. This module is absolutely amazing. If you like this kind of 4 on the floor groovy techno, absolutely. In fact, let's just bring the reverb down on this. One of the things that's awesome about this particular module is that it has so many different settings, including a built-in sort of a reverb, which is just amazing. What we'll do at this time is go ahead and add another percussion. Let's just double click that, and we're going to click manage, and then we're going to click duplicate. I'm going to bring this second one right down underneath the first one, and we'll go ahead and route this to our mixer. We'll take a left out. You could route this into other modules first. You could route this into filters, assign LFOs to those filters, all sorts of that stuff. This is really where your creativity comes into play. What we'll do now is we'll just go ahead and take the trigger out from our second sequencer lane, and we're going to run that into the gate input on our second modal modal. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong and it's painful, guys. We're going to go ahead and turn the volume up a little bit on that one and press play. We're going to go ahead and double click and randomize. Double click and randomize. We're going to double click and randomize again. Whoa! You can hear how this is really capable of an extreme variety of sounds. And even if you're not into sitting here and taking the time to program all these settings and whatnot, definitely you can get so much out of these just by using the randomize feature inside of these modules and inside of the sequencer that you're controlling them with. Let's go ahead and solo that at this time so you guys can really hear what this is doing. We can go ahead and randomize. We can go ahead and randomize. We've got completely different percussion sound. We can double click on this. We can randomize. Now we've got a different pattern controlling those percussion sounds, right? Zoom back in here and unmute everything. Pretty useful stuff, and you can get amazing results without really doing much of anything, guys. Whoops. Randomize. I mean, this for live jamming, amazing. Especially if you were running like directly out of these modules into an individual limiter, just to kind of keep those levels super duper in check and make sure that you're not, going to send any crazy hot levels that are going to mess up your mix. I really encourage you guys to mess around with this modal module here for Techno Percussion, and to pair it up with a sequencer of your choice. It doesn't have to be this sequencer, but I certainly find that this sequencer is super handy for this. I definitely recommend experimenting with routing these through delays, through reverbs, through filters, and also through effect sends on whatever mixers you may be using. I hope you guys have found this useful, and until next time, thanks for watching.